Well, kia ora, Motueka family. We're up here in Auckland at Laidlaw College's Abide conference and learning heaps, taking away lots of kind of thoughts and ideas and the state of the church. And um, really interestingly, it's been a real big focus to talk about what I talked about on Sunday. On Sunday, we were discovering the Great Commission, Jesus' instruction to his disciples to go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything that he had commanded them. In fact, I felt like my period, my 10 years in Wellington, really honed my ability to understand what this meant. It really showed me what does making disciples look like, and specifically, how did Jesus go about it? So that's kind of what I want to talk to you and what I talked about on Sunday. So how do we go about making disciples? First and foremost, Jesus uses many instances when training Peter to be the disciple, to be the leader of the church. He uses both invitation of welcoming him to follow him, to show him major moments in his journey like the transfiguration, to then set him up as being the rock on which he will build his church. And lastly, he commissions him to feed his lambs. But he also challenged him. He stepped out of a boat in faith. He comes down off the mountain of transfiguration and Jesus tells him, no, these ones come out with prayer. The passage after he gets given the keys to the kingdom, he is told that he is Satan. He denied Jesus 3 times and was called out by that from Jesus. And when Jesus is being arrested, he cut off the man's ear, and Jesus rebuked him and said, that's not how we do that. In fact, Jesus uses his life to nurture and to challenge his disciples. And that's how we go about building disciples. So the next question is, well, who and sort of who made up his disciples? Well, he chose 12 guys, 12 people who would change the history of the world. Wider than that, there was a group of 72, and wider still, there was a group of the crowd. But intimately, he had a group of 3. So he has 4 groups of people, the 3, the 12, the 72, and the crowd. And his life gets poured into the 12 and the 3. He has 3 really close friends, but his 12 get to see the intimate parts of his life. They get to have dinner with him. They get to experience his explanations around what is going on when he heals people or tells stories or tells parables to the crowd. They are the people he builds his life into. And all 12 of these go on to lose their life for the sake of the gospel. Now, I'm nowhere near as good as Jesus at this, but for me, discipleship looks like having 4 to 6 people who you call into your life, get close to, live life on life with, like Jesus did, and challenge and nurture them. So what? So that's the who, that's the how. What about the what? What do we teach them? Well, Jesus says quite clearly, teach them everything I have commanded you. So we're to teach Jesus. We're to teach Jesus' kingdom. We're to teach the way Jesus would go about doing things. That is how we disciple people. Now, for lots of us, I think that probably daunts us. That daunts us to think, what do I have to share? Why am I so special that I could disciple others? Well, G.K. Chesterton says, if a thing is worth doing, it's worth doing badly before we get good at doing it. Because, yes, we're not perfect. Perfection will stop us from doing this. Yes, we are amateurs. We don't have professional degrees. We don't have those sorts of things. But all good things in life are done by professionals because it's worth doing badly until we learn how to do it well. You didn't wake up the moment you had a kid and find out that you could do it perfectly. It's not the way it works. It takes some time, some training, doing it over and over again, building those muscles. But thirdly, I love about this quote is it gives us permission. We've got to have permission to go out and just base ourselves and trust ourselves to call 4 or 6 people together, nurture them, challenge them in the way of Jesus, and teach them to obey everything that he commanded him. That is what discipleship was about. That is what I shared about on Sunday. And my time in Wellington taught me this like nothing else. I hope you're having a good week. We're having a great week up here in Auckland. We'll be back on Thursday night, and we'll see you on Sunday. Looking forward to it. Ka kite.